Hello, audience. Welcome to a special edition. It says that my mic is recording, but that's fucked up because it's not. It's also very loud. That should be good. Okay. Welcome to a new series.
Series.
Yeah, this is one of a series called American Idol, more like Bodcap's Idol.
No.
It's not what you think.
Okay.
So, a lot of new users come through our server sometimes. And sometimes they don't know things that everybody else knows about, like the history of the server and the people in it and the events that have transpired. So I suggest we do a series of documentaries about various people and events that have taken place or have been a big deal in the server.
And you're pitching this to me on...
I'm pitching on the first episode.
Why? Oh, because it'll be one of those series where, the documentary starts out, and you see them, and they pitch it, and then that's the setup.
Sure.
Yo, those are great!
I'm not gonna, edit it. It's just gonna be us, talking.
I know, but, that's what they do in the documentaries.
Okay. So, here's the plan.
Uh-huh.
Today, on the first episode of American Idol, more like podcast, the documentary series.
Yo, your mic's cutting out kind of badly. You're kind of roboting, and that's really bad because you're recording from what we hear.
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay.
It's on and off.
Okay.
I'll try to not say things if I'm roboting really bad.
Okay.
Today, on the first episode of American Idol, more like Bodcap's Idol, you and I are going to tell the full story and history of Kyle Fortman.
Is this we're doing Arrested Development season 4 or whatever season that was style, or what?
What do you mean?
One.
No, it's gonna focus, every single episode is gonna focus on one event or person.
Event or person.
Yeah, for easy viewing. If someone's
what's good?
If someone's what's the story with this? Instead of having to tell them the whole story, we can just send them the episode.
Is Kyle gonna watch this?
Definitely not. Do you think he actually watches the podcast?
Kyle watches it sometimes, and I'm always I don't know. One time he watched it, and I said something mean about him, as a joke. It wasn't even mean. It was just in a joking way. And then he was like, "Cody, why'd you say that to me about me? How could you?" And I felt so bad. I was like, "It's just a joke."
Oh, that sounds like hell.
I think I called him a bitch.
Okay. So, in all honesty, I'm gonna upload this on the Sammers channel.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll upload on the Blue Comet Gaming channel.
The greatest channel.
Yeah. So, this is okay. If you're wondering why, it's because my dear friend, Let's Get Spicy, messaged me asking me about the furry porn channel.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was
Yo, okay, say that again.
I know. I can hear when I'm roboting. I'm hearing my own delayed she asks me about the furry porn channel, and I was like, well, we had a furry theme for a little while, as a joke. And we made a furry porn channel, and Kyle got really mad. So we kept it. She says, "Who's Kyle?"
Oh!
And part of me wanted to explain it, but I realized that
Wait, Sam, are you not aware of what the Furry Porn channel is?
I'm aware of what it's announcements.
Yeah, it's announcements. So we didn't really keep it.
No, but I mean, like, you know what I mean.
Not really. That's why
we had the channel, and we've kept it as the like post blank in here.
Oh yes, I like that meme.
It's still like NSFW tagged.
Yes, because if it's not, then you could like report people for posting porn in there.
Oh, okay, fair. Either way, I realized that I could never tell the story of Kyle by myself.
That's fair.
So I'm getting you to help me, and we're gonna record it.
I'm glad.
And it's gonna be something we can show to anyone who ever asks.
Okay.
So, let's start at the beginning.
They're not gonna watch this.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, they could either watch this with some like funny gameplay footage of me being like really bad at shitty roguelikes.
The year was 2017.
Yeah. It was that year.
That's your setup.
We were a small Loud House server. I wouldn't say small. In terms of like the Loud House community.
In terms of the Loud House community, we were one of the major Loud House servers.
Yeah, we were like
small compared to major Discord servers.
Yeah. And we partnered with the Discord community for the editors of the Loud House wiki. And a lot of the people from the wiki, they're very like childish. You think like people like Chris Chan would fit in right, like fit right in there.
Chris Chan's a god.
That is true. But Chris Chan would have fit in on that wiki server. You weren't allowed to swear. You weren't allowed to like say anything sexual or like talk about anything.
Chris Chan talks about sexual things a lot.
What?
What?
What would you say?
I said Chris Chan talks about sexual things a lot.
Oh no, I'm aware. I'm just saying, like it was a very like childish server full of grown ass men who were obsessed with a cartoon show about little girls, and in turn, it attracted a lot of very interesting people. One of which was Kyle Fortman. I'll hand it over to you to explain who Kyle is.
Okay, Kyle actually was in our server before the wiki and us like integrated. He was the first wiki person to be in our server, I think.
That's a lie.
Who was before him?
Barnacles had been in the server since Political Theme.
Political Theme?
Like when we were like American Politics.
Oh, so you meant he was in the second server?
Yeah, but he had come over to the third server as well.
So Kyle was the second person then.
Kyle was the second one. Barnacles had been lurking for months.
Okay. Kyle was another person who had been lurking, and he came out of hiding when the wiki and us integrated, basically. And I don't know what you want me to say about him, man.
Just explain who he is.
Okay.
Fundamentally.
Kyle Fortman is...
Like, don't say a meme. Don't be like, Kyle's God. Just, like, explain who this
I'm not gonna say a meme, you dip. Kyle Fortman is a 25-year-old man who loves cartoons, specifically Lenny Loud. That's, like, his number one love interest. He wrote a comic called How Kyle Loved Lenny about his love.
Actually, a fan fiction.
Oh, sorry.
There was no visual component.
There was. He made visuals out of it.
There's just a picture.
Yeah.
Of Kyle and Lenny. That's not really a comic. You can do anything, slap a picture.
Whatever. And he also, as fairly evident by talking to him for any period of time, has, like, pretty severe autism.
I think that it doesn't end there.
I know.
Like, there's definitely something else.
That's just all we know.
Yes, it is evidenced by speaking to him that Kyle has some very severe autism, but as well as some other things. The main takeaway from this bit of the story is that he is in some form developmentally disabled.
Yes.
And it is very obvious.
Yes.
Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh god, I had no idea. It's like, if you've like been around him for like 3 seconds, like,
It goes so far as the people constantly think he's joking or faking or anything, and then when they realize what's happening, they're like, "Oh my god, that's how could a person like that exist?"
yeah, it's I don't want to say bad, but bad.
I love him though.
Yes, Kyle's a gem. He's
Yeah.
such a nice guy. He's such a nice man. Like,
Sometimes
yeah, sometimes he's not.
things
Most
have
of the
changed
time-
over time, but you know,
Yeah, we'll get to the Kyle has a power trip arc in a little while. But Kyle, like, he's a real sweet guy. He shows up, he talks about cartoons sometimes, and just generally, like, lightens up the mood. What would you say was, like, the first Kyle moment?
I don't even like remember that far back.
I'd wager that was, like, the Clyde arc.
Oh,
So, for
when Ems Marie joined.
Yeah, so Kyle didn't start being active until Ems Marie
Yeah,
started being active. And
you're
for
right.
the sake of making this video sort of like quick and not like the whole story of the server,
We can do an Ems video in the future.
we'll do an Ems video at some point in the future. But to sum it up, Ems was a very prolific, very out there troll. And Ems had a history with Kyle as well. Like, they already knew each other. And we had a system on the server where you would make your nickname on the server the name the Loud House. And it wasn't for role play. It was just like a jokey gimmick just for the hell of it, because we were like, as I previously mentioned, we were like a big deal in the Loud House Discord community. It's such a sad thing to be part of, but that's what we were. So we tried to have like little gimmicks and like things that made us interesting and unique. But that was one of them. And eventually, as people started like showing up more and more, and the server started to get bigger, we started to run out of characters, because there's only how many? 12 main characters.
Yeah.
There's only 11 actually main characters. So
Clyde's the main character though.
Sure. I mean, the family. But we started running out of places, so we started using like side characters and supporting characters.
And cardboard versions of characters.
Yeah. That happened once. A cardboard cutout of one of the characters was added to the roster. But generally, at the end of the day, it was main characters, supporting characters occasionally, when needed. And Kyle came in, and he didn't want to fill this position, but because of just who was left of like characters from the Loud House he could be, the main character's best friend, so like a side character, was the one he had to take. And he was upset about this. And because everyone loves to fuck with Kyle, Ems Marie, a notorious cunt, he started being the character that Kyle was. Like, changing his name to that as well, change his profile picture. This is correct, right? This is how I remember it.
As I don't remember like any of this, not gonna lie.
Either way, he kept fucking with Kyle. And it all led up to a lot of like us like learning things about him. Namely the fact that he doesn't curse if he can avoid it. which again is something that will change in the future.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, there was a time when Ems baited Kyle into saying fuck. And it was like a big moment because Kyle was very upset about that he had been like tricked into saying fuck. People would oftentimes trick Kyle into swearing by telling him to spell things backwards or like rearrange the letters and words. Just like these really like ass backwards like methods of something that's like not even worth it in the end. But he became more and more a staple of the server as time went on. And another thing that we found about him was that he really liked to share weird things, like weird details about his life with the server. Like,
What?
he would just send pictures of things and like tell us things that were happening in his day, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, it gets to a point where it's like, what can you say when
I guess so, yeah.
somebody's giving you like play-by-plays of every event that's ever
Sorry,
happened?
guys, I gotta go to Rainbow Swim.
Is that a real thing?
That's a 100% a thing.
I've never heard of Rainbow Swim.
Rainbow Swim was a short-lived Kyle thing.
Kyle believed that his presence on Discord was always being noted by everyone around him. That's the best way I can explain it. Like, if he went offline, if he hadn't spoken in the server all day, and he went offline, he believed that it was like his job to tell everyone why he was going to be offline for the rest of the day.
This is
And
true.
it's like, thanks, Kyle. No one would have even noticed if you hadn't said anything. And this was like constant. Like, that's the other thing. Like, a lot of these like Kyle-isms are like constant things that would happen like every 5 minutes.
Yes.
And as time went on and he started to like integrate more and more into the community, he started like taking sides in drama and like associating more and more with people and slowly like revealing more and more things he didn't like. We learned that Kyle had a knack for tweeting at the writers of the Loud House and telling them their episodes.
Yeah.
Like, and else was
Segue into
like
no such luck.
line. Yeah, fuck. That was the big one. So, around St. Patrick's Day 2017, the Loud House aired an episode called No Such Luck, in which the main character had bad luck for an episode. Kyle did not like. He did not
Kyle
go on Twitter. Oh, go ahead.
Kyle did not like this, as Sam was trying to say, but then his mic turned into hell. Yeah, Kyle did go on Twitter. He tweeted at the Loud House writers that they had to pull this episode from the air, not air it. He wanted a different episode where the main character Lincoln he followed the rainbow and he finds a pot of gold. But the big twist ending is that the gold is actually chocolate.
Yeah. What Cody said. He wrote a whole episode idea. It was like, oh, like Lincoln has bad luck, and then Kyle was like, I don't want the bad luck episode. I want an episode where Lincoln follows the rainbow out into the woods and finds a pot of chocolate coin. And it was like, yeah, okay, Kyle. And at this point, we were still like fans of the Loud House. We stopped being fans of the Loud House after a little while.
Pretty soon after that.
Yeah, but that hadn't happened yet. And people were like, hey, are you excited for the St. Patrick's Day episode? And Kyle would like get angry with people for wanting to watch it. He was like, you can't watch that No Such Luck episode. I won't let you. And he was like going on these like fucking like rants about like,
Yeah,
oh,
he would tell people they would get bad luck if they watched it.
Yeah, he believed that watching the episode was like voodoo. And that if you did it, you would be subjected to bad luck. And part of it was kind of sweet because like he thought he was looking out for his friends, but he was just like generally being like incredibly fucking annoying. Which made it a bit of a problem. Because as much as I wanted to be like, oh Kyle, thanks for like looking out for me, it's like stop fucking yelling at me for enjoying it I like.
He vowed to never watch it, and eventually, in a voice call with me, I convinced him to watch it, and he watched it on voice call with me, and he hated it, but you know, he kind of got over it pretty quickly.
Yeah, because it's like a cartoon.
Yeah.
We learned that Kyle has a passion for cartooning. Hence him being Kyle the cartoon fan. However, the name he goes by usually is Kyle Fan 92, which implies that he is a fan of Kyle.
Yeah.
That I've always found hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
That he's his own fan. It's not like Kyle the Fan 92. It's like Kyle Fan 92. So Kyle, like, as time goes on, he gets worse. And eventually, when we decide that we don't like the Loud House anymore, is there anything that happens in between No Such Luck and CNN?
Fuck if I know, probably.
Think about it.
I'm thinking.
World War II hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, Kyle wasn't very present for those kind of drama.
He was, just in like the background.
Yeah, not in the way that the actual drama people were.
Okay, sure. Kyle wasn't like out like saying that starving children in Africa deserve to die because they were African. Refer to the Trip Hammer video.
Yeah.
But he also wasn't like not there. Like he participated. He was upset about like his friends fighting.
Yes,
but he
that's
didn't
correct.
like become a part of it himself.
Yes, that's accurate.
So eventually, I guess if nothing's happened since then, we decided that we didn't like the Loud House anymore, and we rebranded the server to a theme server, with the gimmick just being that the theme of the server changed every month, which didn't end up lasting because the server gets deleted a little further down the line. But we were like, yeah, we change the theme every month, and we stopped being a Loud House server. We just like invite whoever we want. We have fun, and Kyle was very upset because he wanted his Loud House server back, and we were like, yo, it's our server. We get to do whatever the fuck we want. Like. But he, like, that was the concept he couldn't grab. And he kept threatening to leave. And we made him a mod. Because he wanted to be a mod. And, like, he'd take it out by, like, trying to change it back to a Loud House server. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
Whenever we'd make a server decision that Kyle didn't like, he'd, like, try to change it. A recent example of this would be when we kept using the quote command that Notsabot has, and Kyle made a called bad quote jokes to post the quote meme in because he thinks it's so bad that it needs its own channel.
Yes, that's true.
But Kyle, once the server is deleted, and anymore, Kyle makes Loud Crowd 2, which was his own server that he ran by himself. And this is where Kyle's like power trip starts. because Kyle realized that he had his own server now, so he could do whatever he wanted. And as a result, he became an asshole. And I have, which I'm about to pull up on screen. Oh, fuck, no, I'm not, because I'm on the wrong account. Jacob made me a collage of every instance of Kyle being a dick that he had screenshotted. And it's like a lot. Kyle would start like making fucking like really angry with people, and like, I don't want you to do that. Stop doing that. And like someone's own server, he'd yell at me all the time, just for like being around. He'd yell at Cody sometimes, like Nadia. But what else? You haven't been talking.
Okay. What did you just fucking talk about? You did Loud Crowd 2.0?
Yeah, Kyle having a power trip.
Is Loud Crowd 2.0 is now a thing in the story?
Yeah, but if there's anything I glossed over, you can go back.
I'd like to talk about Loud Crowd 2.0.
Okay. Yeah, I never checked it because I hated it.
So Kyle invites all his Loud House friends to Loud Crowd 2.0, the ripoff of our server. And as you might expect from a server with Kyle owning it, it's not very well run. Kyle makes me an admin, and he basically gives like 10 people an admin role. If you ask for an admin role, he'll give you one. There's a chat mod role that doesn't have any power associated with it.
And that is a tie into the wiki, which had a role called chat mod, but
yes.
The wiki's chat mod actually has power.
And there are like, as of this moment, like 60 channels in that server because the admins just shitpost relentlessly. The roles don't mean anything. They're randomly given out.
Anybody still go into that server?
Very occasionally, there's like spurts of 3 days of activity, and I'm always confused as to why. It's usually because Kyle invites someone new there.
And then another good Kyle moment of Loud Crowd 2.0 is that whenever he'd invite someone new, he'd ping a random person and be like, please welcome my new guest.
He would ping like a group of 3 or 4 people at random.
But it never made any sense, like who or why. There was like
no I was usually pinged, but sometimes I wasn't.
I got pinged once for someone I'd never met. He was
yeah, no, I'm pinged for people I haven't met a lot.
Speak more on Loud Crowd 2.0.
Okay.
If there's anything else.
So, like, there's a category called the Loud Sisters, and originally it was for Lenny Loud channel, and then they added, like, Lori Loud channel. And it was like, okay, I want to make a Linka Loud channel. And then Kyle's like, yeah, let's make a Linka Loud channel. And everyone's like pissed at me for making this useless channel because a couple people took the server seriously back then. Like, why would you make a character for a gender swap of the main character? And I was posting Linka Loud in there. And now there's like 12 channels there, one for each sister, because it's just a shitpost server and half of them don't even have words in them.
I kind of hate that, but at the same time,
so good.
I really like
it. One of the first shitpost channels was one I made. It was QK. I never gave an explanation when I made it. I just left a channel there called QK. People were trying to find the meaning of it, and somebody was like, it looks like a ninja. I think that's where D Only channel came from, is that server. Where you just post the letter D.
Kyle has another good trait that reminded me of, where if a server is like dead, like, and no one's talked to him for a little bit. He'll just go in and say meep like out of nowhere.
Yeah, recently in the Jackbox server, he said, "This server's getting kind of boring. I'm gonna leave."
Oh,
And
he said that in my project server too. He was like, "This Dragon Podcasts is quiet."
yeah, he said that in like Cody's house server. He said that in so many old servers, and then just leaves.
He's like a wild. But eventually, Kyle starts like confiding more things in Cody. And we start to learn a few things about Kyle. A few of the highlights were, in terms of like quotes, there I fapped to Lincoln once. Are you happy?
I was gonna mention that earlier, actually.
Yeah, it's an old quote. It's from like M's times.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was like important enough until we started getting to this part in the story. But in a similar vein, I don't do sex anymore is a Kyle quote.
Yeah, that one made us paranoid.
Yeah, that one made us paranoid because I don't want to think about like somebody like doing anything to Kyle.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure he wasn't sexually abused.
Yeah.
And later we asked him, we interrogated more on it. And eventually he said, "No, I've never had sex."
Yeah. But we know Kyle like jerks his dick.
Yes.
Because
he's very ashamed of it.
Yes. See, this is why I needed you to do it. I don't know things. Has Kyle been like open about how ashamed he is that he jerks his dick?
To me, yes.
Please enlighten me and the audience.
Were you not just about to tell this story?
Which story? The Loudborough story?
What's Loudborough's story?
The one. What story did you think I was about to tell?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess I'm a narcissist because it's a story about me. It's the story where Kyle comes to me and he's like, I was on this website and then I made an account. And then he's really ashamed that he made an account on a porn website.
No, but see, that doesn't count. That's not like Kyle like actively being ashamed of jerking his dick because like the Buru websites because that's what it was the Loudborough. It's like a 4chan thing. And those websites are like not exclusively pornography. You can also find like art.
This is true.
That's like safe for work. But a lot of people use it for porn. So I think Kyle like realized there. He realized how much porn was there and then like didn't want to be there. But we know that Kyle jacks his dick.
Yes.
And the timeline's a little iffy here also. I'm not really trying to put everything in super chronological order. But there was the time where Kyle posted diaper porn in our server.
This was a recent one.
Or no, it wasn't in our server. The first one was when Kyle shared Loud House porn in Nadia's server, and you know Nadia actually.
Yeah.
But for now, it's like that. We'll just leave it at that. But he posted an image of Loud House porn, and the character in the image is 8 years old in the show. And the thing that I hated the most about it is that it was very like it was drawn in a way where you know that. Like, it wasn't like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, like I made porn of this 10-year-old girl from a cartoon, but it's okay because she's 18 in the picture.
Yeah, and I think I don't think Kyle shared it to be porn either. I think Kyle didn't realize that aspect of it.
It had titties in it.
Yeah.
How do you like not realize that there's titties in a picture?
Because
I've never seen one.
Well, the thing is, because it is an 8-year-old's titties. They're not.
Make it better.
No, but in Kyle's mind, he's like, "Oh, it's just a picture of Lucy, and she doesn't have a shirt on." It's like he's not thinking, oh, those are boobs because she's a female. He's thinking, oh, that's a normal thing to have your shirt off.
This
If
is
he
true.
saw them with
Kyle
like fully
takes his
developed
shirt off
boobs,
sometimes.
yes, that's true. Sometimes
And
he's
it's
in
one
like
of
a
my
video call
favorite
with his
Kyle
shirt off.
moments because we were in a video call once, like recording a podcast, and Kyle's shirt was just like off. And I was like, Kyle, why are you wearing a shirt? And he got fucking angry. He was like, it's hot in here, okay? And I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, he's very defensive sometimes.
I don't blame him because people have been like bullying him
That's true.
for
That's true.
years for his whole Discord career.
Yeah.
But he later joined a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure server that Robert was in. And while there, he used a bot with a Rule 34 search command to search, like, actively on purpose for diaper porn. And I wanted to believe that it was an accident, but it wasn't, because he typed in, like, he went into the channel that had a bunch of porn in it, typed in, like, Rule 34, diaper, and then, like, looked at it. And when I confronted him about it, because it's, like, a thing that I like to do, whenever cut of character, I always, like, ask him about it. And I'm gonna go and find, it's not gonna be on screen, but I'll read it out loud. I sent him a screenshot, and I said, hey, Kyle, why are you looking for diaper porn? And he said, oh, hold on, I have to sneeze. He said, I don't know. Someone invited me into that server. This is the guy, but you don't know him. And it's that screenshot of him being invited to the server. And this screenshot has nothing to do with porn. And in fact, it starts with him saying, how could you forget? And Kyle says, forgot? What server did you come from? And then he says, I came from, with a link to the server, which implies that Kyle was already in. And I was like, yeah, why did you ask for diaper porn, though? And he was like, I don't know. They forced me to. I tried to mute it, but I couldn't help it. I said, excuse me? And he said, I couldn't control myself. I tried. I just don't know what I was thinking. Go ahead. Get me onto my head.
Oh, I guess one thing we forgot is train meta.
And Rhodesia.
Yeah, no, I was thinking Rhodesia like the whole time.
And then he said, I'm sorry, Sam. Pensive. Something had come over me. And I said, okay, it's okay, Kyle. I just wanted to know why. And he said, need the invite to find out what's going on? And he gave me an invite. And I was like, thank you. And he said, are you still mad? And I said, I was never mad. I was just curious. And he said, oh. So, train meta. This is actually not something I was around for, so you can take the train meta section.
I don't remember the entirety of the train meta lore, but Kyle would get really sad and like mad at people, and when they would like berate him, he'd get so sad that he'd be like, I don't know, you guys are just not agreeing with me. I might as well just get run over by a train. And then he would
by alligators.
Yeah, and he would post an emoji of like a train hitting like a person emoji.
Or a person getting eaten by an alligator.
Or a person shooting themselves.
Yeah.
That's like a big one. The train's kind of gone away, but train meta was like serious at the time it came out. That was big news.
Yeah, he was constantly like, I hope I get hit by a train. I don't fuck.
Yeah,
Um,
and we
Rhodesia's-
haven't even talked about Jacob in this story.
yeah. So Jacob's our resident. He's like the only
Jacob and
British
Kyle
one.
are like brothers in this server.
I don't know who Tyler is.
What?
Oh, you said Kyle. I think you said Tyler.
No, and
Yeah,
you
Jacob.
also know who Tyler was if I was talking about Tyler.
Yeah, but I was like, you said in the server, and I was like, Tyler's not in the server.
Yeah,
Um,
Jacob and Kyle are brothers of the server.
Yes, but Kyle fucking hates Jacob. But Jacob and Kyle came from the wiki, so Jacob knows how to like get under his skin the best, and he constantly picks fun at Kyle. He does like little things. He'll like ping Kyle and delete it, so that then Kyle's like, "Who pinged me?" No one will tell him. And like Jacob will like change the name of a channel, and Kyle will be like, "Hey, who changed this channel name?" And it's like no one says it, even though we all know. Jacob like fucks with Kyle so much.
Yeah,
Rhodesia.
he'll just post a
Let's
screenshot
talk
of
about
something
Rhodesia.
Kyle said on Twitter, and then Kyle will be pissed, and he'll be like, "Oh, don't go snooping into my personal life, Jacob. That's private."
Yeah, it doesn't take much to make Kyle very angry. Is like
Yeah.
a big thing about him.
Also, yeah, I'm cool talking about Rhodesia.
Just since I will probably use this in the future if anybody asks about Kyle, I will put a warning right here. I am about to use some racial slurs. I'm going to say them to maintain the purity of the quote. But we knew another guy who was in server for like 4chan, gun people, and he invited Kyle as a meme. And once Kyle was in the server, sometimes the guy that invited him send me these weird screenshots of Kyle saying the most horrendously offensive shit I had ever read in my life. The big meme one being, Rhodesia was a white paradise in the nigger-infested hellhole known as Africa, and eventually it took a coalition of communists and the Jew-controlled UN to snuff it out from history. And I was like, what the fuck? Because Kyle won't even say like hell or damn, and here he is like dropping like the hard R N word. And
Yeah.
he sent me a few more screenshots where he pinged Kyle without like knowing that I'm black. He was like, "How do you feel about the fact that I'm black?" Because he was black. Rope. Fuck, it keeps cutting out at the good
It is
parts.
cutting out as hell.
He would be like, "Hey Kyle, how do you feel about the fact that I'm black?" And Kyle would be like, "Go get me the rope." Like, and then he was like, "How do you feel about the fact that the server owner is Jewish?" And he was like, "Into the oven he goes." Just like this, like horrifying, like blatant, like racism and anti-Semitism. It's like, what the fuck? Like it was like rampant. It turns out that they were forcing Kyle to say these things. They were like making him be racist. I don't know why, and I don't know how they got him to. But
Well, you know why.
Well, okay, because they're assholes.
Yeah, and they think it's funny.
Yeah, but okay, but like, there's no like context. They just were like, wouldn't it be funny if we made the disabled guy be racist?
I'm pretty sure that was the context, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying like we don't know how convinced him.
Yeah.
But either way, we have these screenshots of Kyle being like niggers, and it's wild. And we'll find that this happens a few more times of Kyle being forced to say things he doesn't want to say and do things he doesn't want to do, or at least claiming that he's been forced to do things.
Even if he's being forced by his inner self that desperately wants to jerk off.
Yeah, this is the thing. He ignored the fact that he wants to jerk off. Like, we'll catch him looking at porn, and will be like, "Oh, yo, Kyle, like it's wild," because it's like abnormal for him, and he'll be like, "I'm sorry, they made me." And who's they? There's the SpongeBob Legos incident where Kyle tweeted at the voice actress for Lenny Loud. Oh, and because there was a picture of her on her Twitter of her standing next to like a giant sponge. She's standing next to a giant SpongeBob logo, and he was like, "You look very beautiful with SpongeBob Legos," and this is like a trend that you'll notice a lot is like Kyle hitting on the voice actresses on Twitter. And eventually, we get to the more current day.
Ooh.
And so, an org
Yeah, okay.
an
We're
online reality, which is essentially a game show, or I guess not a game, like reality TV, like Big Brother, Survivor, and shit.
Yeah.
You play it like online with other people, non-professionally, just like run by people who like the shows and like.
Actually, sometimes it's professional and for money.
Just because for money doesn't make you professional. It's not like run by.
That's kind of what professional means, though.
No, it's not like run by the people who produce Big Brother. It's
Well,
still,
yeah,
it's just like Frosty's Big Brother, but this time Frosty has $20. Like,
yo,
am I wrong? No.
Yeah, because Shane was the one who gave away $20.
Okay, I was just trying to pick out a person who doesn't.
But everyone cheated, and so he stopped giving out money.
Either way, it's like it's a game that is competitive, and Cody here hosted a Big Brother once called Big Bodcaps, and Kyle played on season 1 of Big Bodcaps, and he got carried through most of the game until he eventually got voted out because, like, come on, he's a fucking horrible player.
He won the power of veto, which if you win that, you can guarantee yourself safety.
You have to in order to tell the story, you have to specify that he was on the block for eviction.
He was on the block.
Which in Big Brother, 2 people get put up on the block, and then people vote for which one of those 2 goes out.
Yes.
And Kyle was on the block, and he won the power of veto, which you can use to take you or anybody else off the block. And he, while on the block, used it to take the other guy off the block.
Golan.
And was voted out 4-0.
Well, then Golan's closest ally, Nadia, was put on the block next to him, and Nadia and Golan masterminded the vote to take out Kyle, the person that just saved him.
Well, of course, Golan played that season like a snake. He snaked me like multiple times. It was beautiful. It was like very good game. It made me angry, and I wish that he hadn't played like that. But like, he was a fantastic game. But Kyle really didn't like losing, and when he loses orbs, he breaks character and starts like swearing.
He DMs people angrily on the cast.
Yeah, specifically Pori, who he lost.
Well, that's season 2. Season 1, it's Shay.
Did he harass Shay?
Yes! And the wild thing about him harassing Shay is that Shay voted to keep him. Nadia...
See, this is something I didn't know.
Nadia used a vote steal on Shay to make it so Shay had to vote Kyle, but Shay didn't realize she was voting Kyle because Shay voted for Nadia. And the way it looks in the vote chart is that Shay voted for Kyle. So Kyle DMs Shay angrily and is pissed. And he's like, how could you do that to me? And he says, he's like, what do you say to me, punk? Is a quote that Shay likes to use a lot that he said. And yeah, that's a thing Shay remembers very vividly. Quick segue to Big Bodcaps 5. Kyle apparently loves Shay. It was a weird turnaround.
It's wild. So, Kyle, in season 2, he loses to Pori. And when Pori, he messages Pori, he's like, oh, Pori, you jackass. Like, how could you win again? Jackass was, like, specifically the word.
Yes.
And he was like, oh,
and carpet windbagger or whatever the fuck he says.
Oh, yeah, I think it was actually exactly carpet windbagger. These are, like, weird, like, old people from the 20s. Like, insults that your, like, great-grandfather used, like, down at the, like, jukebox club. Like, hey, you old carpet windbagger. Like, nah.
And Pori just thought this was funny.
But Kyle's like, yo, like, Pori, you jackass. And Pori's like, I didn't choose this. We were up on the block against each other. And they voted against you. All 4 voters voted against you. And nobody voted against me.
He photoshopped it.
Yeah, and Kyle was like, no, they didn't. And he sends his edited screenshot declaring Pori the loser. And it's, like, very clearly a Photoshop. Because we know that Kyle lost, and we can all, like, go into the server.
When I saw that, I went to the channel to go check if it was real, and I was like, wait, I fuck up? I go check, and it's normal, and I'm like, what the fuck, Kyle?
Kyle tried to convince Pori that he had lost. Which is, like, a big thing for me. I think that's fucking hilarious. Fast forward a little while, and Kyle makes an account for Lenny Loud.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to ask Cody to help him make it. He's like, Cody, how do I make an alt? And Cody makes the Lenny Loud alt. And sometimes he'll come onto the Lenny Loud alt and, like, role play as her, and he'll be like, hey, boys! In the chat, but then we were like, Lenny, come into voice one time just to, like, fuck with him a little bit. And Lenny joins voice, and we hear on the other end, hello, boys! I'm Lenny Loud. Like, it's Kyle, like, doing a high-pitched voice. He thinks it's really good.
The fact that he says boys constantly is wild. Like, to reiterate that, no, I'm not a boy like you. I am a girl.
Yeah. Cody, do you want to talk about Jenny?
Oh, fuck! Fuck! Holy shit! I forgot there was a character in our fucking universe.
Yo, she's a major character in Dangan Podcasts.
What does she even do related to Kyle in a real life?
Everything. That's how we know her.
I know, but I don't know. I feel like Jenny's its own video.
Oh, fuck. Okay, fine. Kyle introduces us to his friend named Jenny. We'll make a Jenny video later.
Hell yeah.
It's a wild arc. But in season 4 of Big Bod Caps that I did not play in, just for the record, was not involved. Kyle played as Lenny Loud.
No, he played in season 3.
Kyle, which I also didn't play on.
Mm-hmm, correct.
2 seasons of Big Bod Caps that I was involved with in no way.
Mm-hmm.
He played as Lenny and was almost immediately evicted.
Yes, and he was 17th place.
In typical Kyle fashion, that he was fucking furious about it.
He demanded to be a co-host, so I gave him a vanity co-host role that made him be able to type in channels. And when season 4 came around and I didn't renew him as a co-host because I was like the gimmick, he left the server out of rage.
Mm-hmm, as he does.
Yeah.
In season 5, All Stars, Kyle got to be an All-Star. And there was another good time in season 1 when I asked him to vote for someone because I needed to, to swing the vote in someone else's favor to, get rid of them. And afterwards, Kyle started going on rants about like how I was the worst because I tricked him into voting for that person. It's like
I forgot about that.
Shit. I asked you once. I was like, "Hey, can you vote for this person?" He just did it. But
should I talk about his other org experiences?
Oh yeah, because I don't know any of them.
Okay. Well, after Big Bad Caps won, he's like, I want a rematch. And I say, you can be on season 2 if you're on your best behavior for jury. So eventually, I let him on season 2, as we all know. Pori, blah, blah, blah. He plays with Frosty. Now, him and Frosty are fine, whatever. After the season, in the jury, he's like, I need to be on another season. I'm like, I'm not casting you for 3 seasons in a row. So, you can play other orgs. And I link him a Survivor org called Survivor Johto. And Pori's also in this org. So in his confessional, he just talks about how much he hates Pori. Pori's not even on the same tribe as him, and then gets voted out immediately. So he vows that he hates Survivor more than anything, and will never associate with Survivor again. The other org he signed up for was Frosty and Bryson's Big Brother Season 3. And this one is extremely important. It develops Kyle a lot. So Kyle's in this. Golan is also in this. And Golan and Kyle kind of form a duo in the game. Golan uses Kyle as much as he can.
As like a pawn.
Yes. And Kyle gets pretty far. He gets to like the final, I don't know, maybe 6. And throughout this entire season, Kyle's difficult as hell to host for. I hosted for him twice, but it was even hard for me, and I am one of the few people that can talk to Kyle and like just communicate with him. I'm probably the best at communicating with him out of anyone, just by the sheer fact that he likes me.
As it is, you're Kyle's handler.
Yes.
Like if Kyle needed a handler, it would be Cody.
Yes. And Frosty was not as experienced or patient with Kyle. So Kyle and Frosty would fight like hell throughout the entire season. It got to the point where Frosty was like, it was ruining her day. Like, she legitimately felt awful because of Kyle. And,
it's not something I knew. Why? Elaborate on this.
Kyle treated her like shit, and she would argue. She would legitimately argue with Kyle for a long-ass time about shit that didn't matter. Okay, one thing was Kyle was pissed that their names were red. And I think she changed their names to green after, like, 40 minutes of arguing because she was just so fed up with fucking Kyle. She changed them back as soon as Kyle left the server. Another thing was there was a fuck, I don't even remember. Okay, I'm just gonna skip straight to his eviction. His eviction was, as you would expect, fairly brutal. But this time it was different. In the previous seasons, he would lash out on the players. In this season, he would lash out on the host because the host is the one he had the animosity with. And he blamed Frosty for him getting evicted. He quit as a juror, and it was ugly. And I woke up, I see messages from Frosty in my DMs, and she's like, oh, you need the help with Kyle. I can't deal with him. I go in the server. I go in his DR. She's given me access to type there, and Kyle's gone. And I just talk with Frosty. I'm like, I'm really sorry about him. I'm like, I'm gonna try to get him back. Trust me. Like, I know you might not want him back, but I for the integrity of the game, I'm gonna at least tell him to apologize to you. And then I talked to Kyle, And Kyle seems very apologetic. Kyle's like, "Oh, you're right. I shouldn't have treated Frosty like that. I don't know what got into me." Um, she invites him back into the jury. He apologizes and immediately starts arguing with her about garbage because she's like, "Oh, I need a jury question," because the final HOH comp is jury questioning. And so she gets a statement from all of the jurors, and Kyle's so uncooperative like that, and he's like, "Oh, why do you even need something from me? I already lost. What's even the point of being here? Your game is just no good, stupid game. Why you even make Big Brother game?" And she's like, "You played in Big Podcasts. You played 2 Big Brother games." And he's like, "Those are Big Podcasts. This is Big Brother." And they get in this huge fight while I'm gone again. Kyle leaves, and I'm just like, "I'm sorry, Frosty. Like, I should have expected this from him, honestly." Fast forward, Kyle has quit Orgs Forever. However, Survivor Cap's Marikay is casting, and someone drops out last second, and we need a replacement. And I'm like, "Hey, Kyle, I know you're done with Orgs, but you want to do one last one and done, do Survivor Caps, just because, it's a BODCAP series, that'd be cool." And he's like, "Yeah, no, that's good." And Frosty is a co-host for that.
Oh, fuck.
So he makes up with Frosty.
Oh, shit. That's not where I expected this going, just from, historical Kyle.
And the only reason it lasts is because I am the host that deals with Kyle. When Frosty originally talked in Kyle's DR, she made her name Snowflake on the server as a joke way to disguise herself. Her name is Snowflake there. And yeah, they argued for a bit, and I eventually got them to make up, and they've made up. I'm sure if she was more active in Kyle's DR, they would have started fighting again. One thing I forgot to mention was, remember, Kyle was a vanity co-host in season 3. When season 4 rolled over and I made Frosty a host.
Yeah. I remember Frosty. Frosty was my favorite host in the season that I didn't play.
She was a great host. And Kyle was pissed. He was like, "You replaced me with her? Like, how dare you?" Because he hated Frosty at this time, and he felt personally insulted.
We should talk about that in a minute.
What?
But I'll let you finish. Keep going.
Okay. That's basically everything before Big BODCAP's 5 All-Stars.
Kyle is evicted fucking immediately.
Yeah, it's not as immediate as season 3 or Survivor Johto.
Close. Kyle was out in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. What I did. Yes, I did. What I did to deal with it. He was evicted on the first week, by the way, technically. But what I did was there's a twist in the season where you can battle your way back in the game. I didn't tell him he was evicted. I just put him straight into the twist and said, "If you win this challenge, you'll stay in the game. If not, then you won't." And he won the first challenge against Monty and stayed in the game.
I fucking hate Monty, so good.
And so everyone was really impressed with Kyle. Kyle then lost to Urban at Hextris, the game he famously won in Frosty and Bryson's Big Brother to everyone's
Kyle won Hextris?
Yes, everyone was so fucking proud of him. They went insane. They were like, "How did you win a competitive?"
Yeah, motherfucker, I can't even win Hextris.
So yeah, he plays Hextris with Urban. Urban decimates him, and he's like, he this time, instead of blaming it on the players, he blames it on the host. But the host isn't Frosty. The host is me. So Kyle is like, "Why would you do this to me, Coco? What you?" And he demands to be put back in the game like he does every time. And we have a public fight in the spectator lounge.
Oh my god, will I be able to read this when I get evicted pre-jury?
Yes. He left the server immediately as he was evicted, but he came back and we had the public fight in Spec Lounge. I can read a bit of it.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Fuck, it goes far. There's a lot of it. Okay. He makes a cute design for Team Rocket, which is one of the houses in the game. It's like a 2-house twist because I'm a fucking crazy host. LOL, XD so random.
2-house twist. Speaking of 2-house twist, I don't know if you're allowed to tell me this or not. Probably not. But in the event that there is a web later, am I gonna have to remember who was in which house?
I cannot tell you at this time.
That means yes.
First of all, I haven't made the web yet. What the fuck?
I know you haven't.
So I legitimately don't know the answer.
I'm not gonna make it that far, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. He says, what if I want to make some designs? And I said, what designs? For the next puzzles or slide puzzles. I'm like, I already did those comps this season, but sure, if I ever do another one, you can help. And then he references Survivor caps, and then he says, and now Urban is 19th place. And I say, what? And he says, I said Urban is now 19th place. I don't want to be fucking 19th place. Sorry for language. And I say, sorry. And then he says, I'm not in 19th place. I'm not 19th. What is this, a frame up? I demand that you put me back into the game. I want back in the game, crying emoji. You can't keep me like this forever. I demand a refund. And then I post a money bag emoji, and he posts a facepalm emoji and says, are you just gonna listen to Big Brother or listen to me?
Are you just gonna listen to Big Brother? Kyle 1984.
I said, I'm gonna listen to myself. And he said, so you don't trust me?
I wouldn't trust Kyle with shit.
I say, trust you with what? And he said, bout me back into the game. And I said, no, because you got evicted. And he said, I'm not evicted. You should stop watching Big Brother and Survivor. Those game shows could get you into trouble.
This is a big Kyle thing.
Yes.
Things that Kyle doesn't like, he thinks you will get in trouble.
Yeah. Then we have an argument. He says they're not enjoyable. He says, never watch Big Bothers.
Big Bothers? Kyle fucking Big Bothers me.
If you don't take this so serious, I might not come back to Bodcaps. I said, I'm not taking it seriously, you are. And he says, why? I say, you tell me. And he says, IDK what to say. We'll discuss this later, but IGTG. He comes back with an emoji, the unamused face emoji. And I get a DM from Pendant. And it's a screenshot of Kyle saying, you're being evicted, not Shay. Because Shay was just evicted. And Shay and Pendant fought in Redemple Temple. Now this contradicts things, because Kyle hated Shay in Season 1. Kyle has done a 180 on Shay, and Kyle suddenly loves Shay. He was pissed that him and Shay weren't in the same house, and he left the server and demanded me to change the names of the houses to Team, or to House...
House Mario and House Sonic.
Team Mario and Team Sonic. And that's the only way we would come back. So I did that. Yeah. And he says, I had it with orgs. This is your fault for starting it. You do you even care for? Shay or Pending? I care for Shay. Shay is a good friend. What did she ever did to us? Nothing. And I say, I love both of them. And he said, so I suggest that you didn't evict Shay and evict Pending. And I said, I didn't evict either of them. Pendant beat her. That's all there is to it. And it just keeps going. You can't do that to my favorite friend.
Is he implying that Shay is his favorite friend? I thought you were his favorite friend.
I think he was implying that, yeah.
I mean, okay, his favorite friend is like Jason Norman fan. But
And
like,
then I
is
said,
modified, so.
oh, some context for this next bit. In Survivor Caps, he demanded that I kick him from the server, and I said I wouldn't do it. I loved him too much to kick him. It kind of like emotionally impacted him, and he had to leave. In this server, I write, I will kick you from the server if you continue to argue with me in public like this. And he says, but you never kicked me before. And I said, I know. And then he said, then Scrated be your list and make me your helper.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Then Scrated be your list.
Can you spell that? I like legitimately don't understand what you're
Scrated.
Sprated?
Scrated. Scrated.
Next word?
Be your list.
Scrated be your list.
And make me your helper.
What does it mean, Cody?
I don't know, but I said no. I explained, I don't need a helper. I'm not gonna reward your behavior. The hosts keep their placements, even though I don't erase placements. And then he says in all caps, then do you care? Big Brother or me? And then you get the message that I've kicked Kyle. Kyle DMs me. He says, was it just a kick or a ban?
Oh no, baby.
And he says, oh, okay. Thanks. I needed one. First time you kicked me.
I'm crying in the club right now.
I said, yeah. He said, how does that feel? I said, I don't know. But I'm glad I did it. I didn't like doing it. He said, did you feel a little aggressive? And I said, kind of. And then he said, but serious, who do you care? Me or Big Brother? Tough question, eh?
Instead of like a TV show.
And then I give this like paragraph of an answer about questioning Big Brother as a human, my enjoyment of it, whether he's talking about the integrity of the org or the show itself, and the obvious answer being him. And he says, so I guess you do care for me than Big Brother, correct? And I said, I'd say so, yeah. He posted a hug emoji and wrote, I love you, Code, with the yellow heart. And I wrote, love you too, with the yellow heart and the Dan Beasley hug emoji. And that's the end of Kyle's org career arc.
He'll probably be in another one.
Yeah, Nick's BB's casting soon.
He can play on Rat 5 when it happens. I left the org command server because I actually don't know if I want to finish that.
That's funny. I saw you were in it. Like, no, you're in it.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I meant to leave it. I'm like contemplating. I don't.
The org command server's dead anyway. That was a good idea in concept, but
I want to do Rat 5 anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a good idea in concept, but I feel like I can't pull it off. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Kyle fucking hates gay people. That's what I was referring to earlier. Multiple times people have asked Kyle how he feels about gay people, and his response is always like, I don't know about that gay. Like, he like dislikes gay people.
Yeah, going back to Big Bodcaps, the Big Bodcaps 5 server icon is the gay flag, and he said basically
because the winner,
yes,
the DR server icon is always related somehow to the winner of the last season.
Yeah, the winner was Gag.
Derry won season 1, so it was like a milk carton. Season 2 was
Numbers.
numbers, so it was some numbers. Season 3 was cool.
So it was sunglasses.
So it was some cool sunglasses. And season 4 was YAG, which is gay backwards, and somebody who's incredibly gay.
Yes.
And so it's the gay flag. And Kyle was like, I'll let you read it because I don't remember the exact quote.
Oh, should I find it?
No, but you'll remember.
I can find it fairly quickly, actually. I found it.
Please don't. Okay.
Uh-oh! A gay flag? And then Kieran says, what do you mean, uh-oh? And he says, well, I was expecting a B-tier image than that gay flag. Kieran explains the YAG thing, and he says, I don't think so. YAG and gay? The flag doesn't fit. It's not right. It needs to be more specific. And I assured him that after this season it will be changed because we'll have a new winner. Or, I mean, technically YAG could win again, but whatever.
Yeah, probably not that. I feel like I've got my winner picks, kind of. I don't want to talk about Big Bug Caps.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Why? Oh, well, I guess I shouldn't talk about things like publicly. But yeah. By that same token, it's like...
It's also flooding our Kyle video with garbage.
Yeah, that's my main concern. So... The last Kyle thing I can think of. I guess, okay, it's worth pointing out that the reason the Bodcaps is called the Bodcaps is because of Kyle. When we told him that because back in the early days, we had a Loud House podcast, like where we talked about like the community and the new episodes. It only lasted for 3 episodes. But when we told Kyle that we had a podcast, he was like, I don't know about that Bodcaps. We're like, the what? The fucking excuse me? Because he didn't know how to say the word podcast, so he typed it Bodcaps. And he thought that the podcast, which was footage of us like speaking about this show that we all liked, he thought that it was us like ripping episodes of The Loud House and posting them on YouTube. Do you remember that, Cody?
I remember that, but I also don't remember... I remember the Bodcaps origin story being because of Kane, and... Cause,
it was not Kane.
Where did the Bodcaps interaction happen then?
What do you mean?
Where did the interaction where Kyle said Bodcaps happen?
It was when we told him we had a podcast, and he called it a Bodcaps.
In the Loud Crowd server?
Yes.
That's not in there. The first iteration of Bodcaps in that server is when Kane posts a screenshot that's a message to Dylan that says, I want to be on the Bodcaps. And Dylan wrote noted, and Kane wrote thinko. And you wrote the Bodcaps. That was the first iteration of Bodcaps being said on the server.
Fuck, did Kyle not say Bodcaps?
I've been telling you this for a long time.
This conversation's never happened before.
I never had the proof to back it up until now, but I've been telling you this.
I swear that was a Kyle quote, though.
Sorry to break it to you, man.
Did we name our shitty podcast after a child molester?
Please don't say it like that.
Truth hurts, pal.
But it's not named after him. It's named after a thing he wrote. And
shit, you know what? Actually, it might have been the wiki server. I'm not even just saying this to like cover up for my mistake. Like, I legitimately feel.
How did Kane find it then?
Because one of us probably told him.
Well, first of all, I named it after the Kane because I'm the one who named it. Second of all, I don't think it was in the wiki server, but I'd love to check. just to make sure.
Well, we're permanently banned from the wiki server.
I'm not.
How did we all get banned from the wiki?
There's various reasons.
Was that over the Muppet Spot incident?
Around then.
Muppet Spot.
To join the Discord
You
server.
remember how Vini tried to like guilt trip us into wanting to be better friends with Fossey because he had a heart condition?
Not really. I think that was a you thing.
Oh, he was like, Vossi, like, be nice to him. He's a nice guy. He's only got half a heart, literally. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I
Not
wasn't
nice
involved
dude.
in the Vossi controversy.
Yeah. Someday we'll make a video about all the like diplomatic issues that happened.
Yeah.
Surrounding the Loud House podcast and the Bodcaps. And various severely autistic.
The Loud
young
House
men.
podcast is entirely different than the Loudcast,
Oh,
actually.
right, sorry. The Loud House podcast is some shitty rap podcast.
Yep. Join TLH Wiki Discord. Here I am.
Invite me. Invite the aliens.
Yo, chill.
Please invite the
The
aliens.
link is on the Discord.
What
Or on the
Discord?
wiki.
No, dude, fuck. Invite me. Send an invite to this channel. Okay, that wraps up the Kyle story. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about. That there's time that he was role playing as Lenny and pretended to piss himself or herself. It's a little creepy. But other than that, there's like nothing. So I feel like I'm just gonna end this recording now and then do the dishes while I upload it because it's an hour and a half long. Either way, now you know the Kyle story, and keep on tucking.